Run parameters are graph-level parameters that allow you to substitute text onto a graph in place of a declaration, or have it automatically fill in certain fields. Run parameters are specifically created for use with multiple runs in the same graph, or when using the Logistics Manager and Lavastorm directory. You would create run parameters the same way you would any graph-level parameter. Go to Graph and select Edit Parameters. From here, click on the Parameters Declarations tab. Here is where you would create your parameters. Start by clicking the new icon. Then name your parameter. The Type drop-down allows you to define the type of parameter you're creating, such as string, password, Boolean, which is true or false, or choice. Choice lets you create a drop-down of options you or anyone accessing the graph can choose from. Because this is a run parameter I am creating, I want to make sure to change the group drop-down option. 1 places the parameter on the Parameter 1 tab. 2 places it on the Parameter 2 tab. By selecting Run, I ensure that the parameter is placed in the Run Parameters tab. Because I chose the type of choice, I need to enter the choices that will be available in the drop-down menu. For that, I click the Edit Choices button. When entering choices, each choice must be on a separate line. Once entered, click OK. Now, let's see what the parameter looks like. Perfect. There is my drop-down and my choices to choose from. My parameter is created. Creating the parameter is only the first step. Now I have to use the parameter in a node. I'm going to use it in the filter node. This way I can filter the data by the different choices in the parameter. For this example, I'm going to tell the node to omit all records where the field department equals the option selected in the drop-down parameter I created. For that, this is where I use my parameter. You can select parameters from the right-click option. Local parameters are ones created at the node level. Container parameters are ones created at the composite level. And graph parameters are ones created at the graph level, such as the run parameter I created. Now my parameter is ready to be used. Let me show you how. Going back to the graph level parameters, I can select the department to grab information on. Because I made my selection in the run parameter I created, all I have to do is run the filter node. The node then reads the brain script, and in the spot where the parameter is mentioned, grabs the department name from the drop-down choice I selected. In this case, onboarding. And that is how you create a run parameter. As I mentioned, run parameters are created for use with multiple runs in the same graph or when using the Logistics Manager and Lavastorm directory. The next topic we'll discuss how to use run parameters for multiple runs in the same graph. The Run Manager feature in LAE allows you to create multiple runs for the same graph using the same exact nodes. The only thing that changes is the run parameter selections and therefore the data that gets produced based on that selection. So here's your scenario. 2 different managers in your organization want to be able to get the exact same employee data, but only for their specific departments. Rather than create 2 graphs, you can create one graph with 2 different run options, one for each of the managers. You do that within the Run Manager feature. To access Run Manager, go to Graph and select Run Manager. Notice the default run. This is the run based on the run parameter I created and the option I chose from the drop-down menu. LAE assumes I want to use this parameter for one of the runs. Since the application is correct, I'm going to change the name to reflect the first manager in my scenario. Now I create a second run for my second manager. I click the new icon and name the run. I can rearrange the runs in any order I want. Once the runs are created, I can set the parameter for each of the runs. This will be based on the department that the manager wants information for. Manager 1 is already set to a department, so I just need to do Manager 2. Now I click OK. Manager 1 has already been run based on the parameter I created. So let's see what Manager 2 looks like. All runs appear in the Run drop-down on the BRE main toolbar. Looks like Manager 2 needs to be run. Since I already made my department selection when I created the run in Run Manager, all I have to do is run the graph. Let's take a look at the BRD. Looks like the node read the parameter selection, which in this case was customer support. The run was successful. Returning back to the Manager 1 graph run, let's say a third manager comes by and decides they too want this information, but for their own department. Again, rather than create another graph, all you have to do is create another run in Run Manager. This time called Manager 3, with the Department of Technical Operations. Now, let's see that graph run. Again, since I already made my department selection when I created the run in Run Manager, all I have to do is run the graph. Let's take a look at the BRD. Looks like the node read the parameter selection, which in this case was Technical Operations. Now here's the great thing about the runs in the Run Manager. They all use the same graph and the same nodes. So if you were to make any changes to one run, say adding an output Excel node, that change is now reflected in each of the runs. The only difference between all the runs is the data that's produced based on the parameter selections I made. And that is how you use the Run Manager feature in LAE.